Let's get over to the Cesar Chavez stuff, shall we? So you guys may have noticed Cesar Chavez has been canceled. And it's kind of weird because it's like, wow, that sort of came out of nowhere. It's like one day it's, Cesar Chavez is a hero. And the next day it's everyone is canceling him. Everyone's denouncing him across California, across the nation. They're changing the names of parks. As you can see here, this is Cesar Chavez Park in downtown San Jose. And I saw them doing this and I was just like, oh, holy crap. I grew up at this park. I grew up skating these ledges right here. If you guys notice, the ledges are waxed. They're made of like marble or granite or something like that. They were these ledges here for skateboarders are legendary. And I was a kid and I used to skate here and you weren't allowed to. You'd get a massive ticket if you got caught by the cops. So if we saw cops, we'd throw our boards in the garbage can and just sit on the bench. Anyway, they're plastering over. They're not even using like granite. They're just covering the Plaza de Cesar Chavez sign on the bricks. Look at this. Look at this. It looks like hell. So they're canceling Cesar Chavez. Why are they doing that? Why are they doing that, you guys? So 30 years after his death, there was sexual assault allegations. So let's go over to, this is the New York Post here. So they says, wave of Cesar Chavez events pulled as troubling allegations made against the civil rights leader. I'm not defending Cesar Chavez. I'm just saying this came out of nowhere. A wave of events honoring Cesar Chavez have been pulled amid trouble allegations made against the civil rights leader. The United Farm Workers Union said in a statement on Tuesday it will halt celebrations after learning of profoundly shocking allegations against the union's Chicano founders. The union pointed out claims that have been made against Chavez that Chavez behaved in ways that are incompatible with the organization's values. Chavez is a historic figure in California where he rocketed to fame for fighting for labor rights for migrant farm workers. He has schools, roads, and public buildings named after him. And I actually used to train at a place called USA Boxing and Karate in Hayward. And I trained there for a while. And then they asked me if I could help coach the kids 14 and under boxing class. And I used to coach it was either his grandson or his great-grandson. I think it was his grandson. He used to coach his grandson in boxing. And now he's getting canceled. So he's also been honored by presidents for his activism. Most recently, Joe Biden, who placed a bronze bust of him in the Oval Office during his presidency. The union statements delivers a reassessment of someone many consider a legend. Some of the reports are family issues and not our story to tell, our place to comment on it. It read, far more troubling are allegations involving abuse of young women or minors. So, look, that is horrific allegations. I'm not defending the guy. I'm just saying this cancellation is like strange. It came out of nowhere and it seems like inorganic. Those allegations include very young women or girls may have been victimized by its founder. The statement pointed out that the union itself have not received any direct reports, and we do not have any firsthand knowledge of these allegations. Okay, so that's weird. Sounds like, you're just acting to protect your own ass. So we'll watch this quick clip of Cesar Chavez. And so a lot of people are speculating that it's because he was actually against illegal immigration. So let's listen to this clip of Cesar Chavez. I'll read the comments. Casey Martin over on Rumble. Cesar Chavez was anti-illegal immigration. Yep, that's what we're going to talk about now. Not sure if all of the abuse stuff happened, but anti-illegal immigration is probably a big reason for canceling him. So that's what a lot of people are speculating. Danger, just rename everything Julio Cesar Chavez and throw some boxing gloves on it. Yay, that's not a big idea. Other people are suggesting that they should rename everything Chuck Norris, which I'm very sad about, folks. I'm very sad about the Chuck Norris passing away. But Chuck Norris does not die. He simply transcends. Okay, let's keep going. So here's Cesar Chavez talking about illegal immigration.
This question of the illegals I find very interesting. Would you say that it's, at this particular moment, as important as any of the other problems facing the union?
Oh, yes. In the last 3 weeks, it has become an emergency for us. Well, there's an awful lot of illegals coming in by the hundred, by the thousands. Our people are not only in some of the crews where there's now strike breaking. Some of those crews are 100% illegals, outright, openly, with no attempt to disguise it. And so it's so bad now that we estimate 60 to 70% of the farm workers in California, of the resident worker, of the citizen, is out of a job because of the wetbacks. They're coming in by the thousands. Just
Whoa, he said the word you're not supposed to say. But I mean, it's funny because like the sanctuary state policies, you'll hear a lot of California Democrats justifying it, saying like, basically, who's going to pick your crops? Like they want a serf class in order to do this, but there's actually legal people that are here legally that would work those jobs, and it would increase the wages. Like you want illegal immigrants here to justify paying them less? Oh, well, the cost of vegetables and fruits will go up. It's like, well, you don't mind the cost of fruits and vegetables going up or the cost of gas going up if we break out in a war. Anyway, we'll keep listening to them.
unbelievable. See, they're coming in with the consent of the Immigration Service, which is part of the Department of Justice. How else could they come? We, for instance, know that if you go to Coachella, you go to around the El Paso area, the secondary immigration checkpoints have been unmanned now for at least 3-4 weeks. They're
I hope I don't get a copyright claim on this freaking the music playing in the background of this video.
closed. They're at night. They're dark. There aren't any patrolmen there. It's a gimmick. We think that it's a prelude at the beginning to a big drive on the part of the administration and the Mexican government to bring the Bracero program again. It's a vicious attack on the local worker, and it's just one of those things that agribusiness thinks they can get away with it.
Okay, so Cesar Chavez was very anti-illegal immigrant, and it sounds like the justification for it was because he thought that it hurt the American worker. When I say American, the Mexican-American worker, the ones that are here legally that did it the right way. He's claiming that negatively impacted people that came here legally. I've been saying that shit for years. Apparently he was way ahead of me on this. All right, so this is interesting. This is a year ago. A year ago, Gavin Newsom and first partner, not California First Lady, what is it, Sybil Newsom. Let's see what they had to say about Cesar Chavez just a year ago.
Today, California honors the life and legacy of Cesar Chavez, a leader who fought for justice, dignity, and fairness for farm workers. And
honey, before we release this video, let's make sure we put some Spanish flamenco guitar in the background to make it seem more authentic.
working families everywhere.
Alongside Dolores Huerta, Chavez.
Dolores Huerta, why do you say it like that? Why, I mean, just, you don't need to do the accent. Dolores Huerta. Dolores Huerta. Sorry.
This championed the power of service and collective action.
Chavez led the 300-mile march from Delano to right here in Sacramento to expose the undeniable truth that food on our tables was harvested by the people denied their most basic rights.
That historic march ignited a movement that led to one of the most successful boycotts in history, rallying a nation and inspiring generations to demand dignity and fairness for all workers.
California is investing to keep workers safe.
Yeah, but it seems like Cesar Chavez wanted fairness for all legal American workers. They seem to be leaving that part out. How interesting.
And remember, California labor laws apply equally to all workers, no matter their immigration status.
Oh, well, that's weird that you're using Cesar Chavez to push your sanctuary state agenda when he clearly would have been very against California sanctuary state laws. How interesting. So they're using him to spin their narrative. How interesting. And now today they're denouncing him.
We honor Cesar Chavez's legacy, both in remembrance, but also in action by standing up for workers and speaking out against injustice.
And building a future of prosperity and progress for all.
Okay. It's amazing how things can change in just 1 year. Bulldog says none of the Epstein clients matter, but Chavez was a horrible abuser who should be held accountable 30 years after he died. Give me a break. Yeah, I know. This seems weird, doesn't it? This whole thing just sounds weird. All right, we'll keep going here. So this is Katie Grimes from the California Globe, and she seems a little suspicious of this whole thing too. She says, a few thoughts. I covered thousands of non-union farm workers for 15 years who the UFW was trying to force unionization on. It's been an open secret that Cesar Chavez was a serial womanizer. Dolores Huerta has been a card-carrying UFW zealot and opportunist for decades. If this were true, why didn't she reveal this when Chavez died in 1993, 33 years ago? And wasn't Richard Chavez, Cesar Chavez's brother, and father of the 4 children, her longtime partner? The timing is suspect, and that the story was fed to the New York Times is even more suspect. I smell a big ugly rat. Something isn't as it seems. So now we'll go over to my buddy Seneca Scott out of Oakland, and he posted something pretty interesting here. He says, this is originally from AV News Crew. He says, in March of 2026, 2 significant crises converged for Dolores Huerta, founder of DHF. A detailed whistleblower and wrongful termination lawsuit filed by former employee Ruth Sanchez, and a historic public allegation of sexual abuse by Dolores Huerta against later labor icon Cesar Chavez. The Ruth Sanchez lawsuit, filed in September of 2025, Sanchez v. Dolores C. Huerta Foundation. The complaint alleges multiple labor violations, including wage theft, retaliation, and disability discrimination, following a dispute over a city grant. The lawsuit involves allegations of mismanagement and nepotism within the organization. A jury trial is scheduled for early 2028. Timing of allegations against Cesar Chavez in March of 2026, roughly 2 weeks after a key hearing in the Sanchez case, Huerta publicly accused Chavez of sexual assaults in the 1960s. These claims followed a New York Times report exploring the allegations against the labor leader. Critics have suggested the timing of the announcement served to redirect attention away from the ongoing legal challenges facing the DHF. Ruth Sanchez's lawsuit against Dolores Huerta Foundation and the odd timing of Huerta's allegations against Cesar Chavez. The recent emergence of sexual abuse allegations against Cesar Chavez by Dolores Huerta has coincided with an active whistleblower wrongful termination lawsuit against her own organization, the Dolores Huerta Foundation. Ruth Sanchez's lawsuit against DHS, filed on September 29, 2025. The case Sanchez v. Dolores Huerta Foundation is currently pending in the Los Angeles Superior Court. Ruth Sanchez, a former community organizer and resource center manager, alleges 11 accusations against causes against the founding, including whistleblower retaliation. Sanchez claims she was retaliated against after reporting the misuse of a $95,000 grant from the city of Los Angeles and falsification of canvassing records. Labor violations. She alleges she worked 60-hour weeks without meal or rest breaks and was pressured into unpaid labor. That's funny. This is a labor union, and they're doing this. Nepotism. The complaint states that family members of DHF leadership were promoted into roles they were allegedly incompetent to perform, and Sanchez was required to train them. Unreimbursed expenses. Sanchez alleges she spent between $7,000 and $10,000 of her own money on foundation equipment and supplies without reimbursement. The case is moving toward a jury trial scheduled for January 24th, 2028. The timing of Huerta's allegations against Chavez on May 18, 2026, Dolores Huerta publicly alleged that Cesar Chavez sexually abused her in the 60s, resulting in 2 separate pregnancies. This disclosure came shortly after New York Times investigation detailed broader patterns of sexual misconduct by Chavez. Observers have noted a specific timeline regarding the litigation. September 2025, Ruth Sanchez files her lawsuit. March 4th, 2026, the court holds a demurrer hearing for the Sanchez case. March 18th, 2026, exactly 2 weeks after the hearing, Huerta breaks her 60-year silence to accuse Chavez. Critics suggest the timing may serve to shift public attention away from the foundation's internal labor policies, alleged grant misuse, and the looming civil trial. Huerta maintains she spoke out to support other survivors identified in recent reporting. Partial credit, Dina Flores. This is a very interesting in many ways. So, yeah, the timing seems really suspicious. She waited 30 years after his death to make these allegations, but it was only 2 weeks after the hearing to accuse her of unfair labor practices, apparently. So why are they really canceling Cesar Chavez, you guys? It's just kind of an interesting story.